So, ich habe jetzt gerade geguckt, ob jemand unentschuldigt fehlt, aber die haben alle echt auch andere Gespräche draußen. Nein. Insofern schön, dass ihr zu uns kommt. Wir machen jetzt hier weiter mit Home Delivery in einer Success Story, denn das war auch die Überlegung im Programm, dass man natürlich am besten lernt, wenn man den praktischen Nutzen von anderen hört, welche Hürden die auch hatten, aber auch welche Erfolge sie dann beschreiten konnten. Und insofern ist es total schön, dass wir heute daran teilnehmen dürfen, an der Geschichte von DynaLogic, die mit Optiflow planen und dadurch Home Delivery wirklich optimiert haben, ein großes Wachstum auch erzielt haben und auch im Bereich Nachhaltigkeit ganz andere Ergebnisse erzielen als vorher. Also wirklich, es hat den Titel Success Story verdient, würde ich mal sagen. Und wir werden jetzt dazu hören, in einer englischen Präsentation auch von Philip Blayevens. Wir haben über den Nachnamen gar nicht gesprochen. Blayevens.
Happy life.
Blayevens. It's Philip Blayevens.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's Dutch. Okay.
Yeah, it's Dutch.
Blayevens.
If you translate it, it's happy life. So that's always good.
Oh, your wife must be happy.
Yes.
Happy wife, happy life. Okay, Philip Blayevens from the Netherlands is right now here with us, and you will give us a short overview. No, it's not short, it's 20 to 25 minutes, the next 25 minutes, to the success story of DynaGroup. And you just gave me a short overview about what you're working for DynaGroup almost half your life, so it's about 5 years. No, and the last 10 years you have been part of the executive team. And you worked in operations, strategy, innovations, and you commercially responsible for establishing new business. So it fits everything in your presentation. And you're responsible for selection and implementation process of route optimization. And yeah, you wrote this to me, you will be happy to share your learnings and insights with the audience.
Yes.
So we are happy. Happy life, Philip, happy life.
Thank you, Denise, for this nice introduction. So when Andrea said I'm the only one in English, I thought, oh, then I have to do it in German. Could be, but it's a little bit more comfortable for me to do it in English. I could also do it in Dutch, but then I think it would be less comprehensive for you. Well, today I want to talk about the way how PTV Logistics paves the road for our future growth. That's a presentation title I chose. First, something about myself. Denise introduced me already. I'm working almost 20 years at DynaGroup, now responsible in a commercial role, establishing new business units. But before, I worked in operations and in strategy, and therefore was also involved in the selection and implementation of planned software in general. But first, I'm always happy to share something about how it started. And it started with these kind of devices in 1997 with one of the former owners who was really good with techniques, with repairing. And he started the business as a repair company. So repairing mobile phones from large, and they became smaller and smaller, became more complex, became more the smartphone we have as of today. But it started with those devices. And that started with, of course, a first device, but 25 years later, we had repaired more than 10 million devices within the Benelux region. And what we saw is that there was one big challenge in repair. And the challenge turned out to be a unique opportunity, because in those days, 2005 to 2010, if you had your smartphone or your mobile phone broken, it was easily 10 days away from your pocket. And I think if I ask it here, can you imagine that you have your smartphone not with you for 10 days? That means a sort of retreat that you have to go through. So that was a challenge we had in those days. The lead time needs to be shortened, very aggressively shortened. And what we did is we thought, well, let's start and doing the logistics ourselves. So from a repair company, we went into logistics. And from that first day, I remember in 2008, we sent 10 not these electric vehicles, but 10 vehicles on the road in Netherlands, and that became quite successful because 10 years later, just before COVID started, we had over 1,000 techno-couriers on the road. And if you have a logistics company, then you need to develop everything, because we are a sort of self-made company, and we have developed, I will touch that later on, we have developed some different business units. So DynaGroup, that's the mother holding. We are, a few years ago, acquired by bpost Group, Belgium Post, so we are part of bpost Group. And DynaGroup exists out of 2 main business units. DynaLogic, that is the biggest of the 4, is the logistics company. DynaFix, it's the repair company, where it all started with. We have DynaLink, it's our IT company. We have built our own TMS software, for example, with our own MyDyna track and trace environment. And that is some area where also the components from PTV came in earlier in the process. And we have established a new division, new business unit, DynaHealth, where we combine those logistics and repair capabilities in the healthcare environment, because there was an immense increase of business to patients logistics, so the B2P, and that's something we really focus on with medical aids, with medical devices, with a pharma network, and that's something that we have created in the last 2 years. We have also acquired 2 companies. Lane Menken, it's a company in the food logistics, warehouse fulfillment and last mile in food, so fresh and frozen. And Eurosprinters, it's a point-to-point courier. Means that we have a broad range of services over there. Well, a little bit about the footprint. It's also good to know who are we. We have now 11 buildings with about 100,000 square meters on 8 locations in the Benelux, so we are a Benelux company. And some other figures about how big are we. We are with about 2,000 colleagues. And some numbers, not really interesting for today, but to have some insights on our position in the market and where we are. Some of our customers, we work most of the times behind the scenes. So a customer of us is in repair Samsung. A customer of us is, for example, Vodafone as an operator in telecom. But in e-commerce, it's like MediaMarkt, a customer as a big e-tailer who is asking us to deliver not only the two-man handling products, because that's a niche where we are focusing on, but also do some installation. So if we look to our logistics platform, we have divided that in 3 networks: a one-man delivery network, a two-man delivery network, and an on-site engineer network, where we combine the logistics and the technical expertise to service those customers. So our product range goes from delivering a parcel with value add, because without value add, we are not the right partner or the right company to contact. So there always needs to be a value add in that logistics activity. And it can go up to repairing a television in someone's home. So it's everything between delivering with a swap or with an installation up to a repair or a technical intervention. So these are part of our customers. And what we always focusing on is the things behind the scenes. So most of our customers, we can place them in the upper part of the picture. They do the manufacturing and they do the sales, or a leasing or rental or everything else. We never own a product. We are a service provider, and a service provider in logistics and in technical services can come from last mile logistics up to installations, and in repair it comes from cleaning and maintenance towards repair, and also several IT services we have there. And to realize that successful growth, you need to do a lot of things. And because I was there when we put those 10 vehicles on the road on day 1, I can guarantee you that it was a nice journey. It was sometimes a hell of a job, because we had to grow from a small plant where we did the repairs, and repairs of smartphones doesn't need that much space, so we had to scale up from 500 towards 100,000 square meters. In logistics, we had to scale up from 10 towards 1,000 couriers and vans. we had to investigate in our IT backbone, starting on day one with Access, very nice tool, very sophisticated. And there was a day that we thought, might build our own TMS around it. Access is not longer in place. We have built our own MyDyna TMS system. We had built also a delivery app. On day one, we go with a paper list on our tours. As of today, we have an Android Dyna delivery app where we have all those workflows integrated, because on stop one, you need to make sure that an espresso machine is installed or cleaned. On stop 2, you have to install a television. And on stop 3, you have to install a bed, for example. And all those things have been put in those software elements in our TMS and our Dyna delivery app. But last and not least, and of course because we are here today, we had also to invest in our route optimization software. And there we also started with a very sophisticated tool, Excel. You all know it. And that's good for your first 10 rounds, because no complexity in it at all. But we came from Excel, and we now use the last version of the scalable power engines from PTV Logistics. And that evolution of route optimization software from Excel towards PTV Logistics, I thought, let's make it a little bit clear, because you can divide it in several categories. The way of work, now, was in those first years very manual. In Microsoft Excel, all on-premise. And something went wrong. We need to find out, okay, let's create a new sheet, and then we have a new backup plan. But that was good for those first years. But after that, we saw that we needed more. We had our first planned software, and that's an existing competitor of PTV Logistics, but we had WinRoute from Descartes installed and implemented. It was still manual, but we had some nice maps where we could see the tours instead of looking into an Excel file. It was still on-premise, and it was good for that time, for that amount of routes and for that amount of orders. But in those years, in 2014, in those growing businesses, we saw that we needed more. And that was the first time we were a customer of PTV Group. We used Smart Tour. That was a sort of semi-automated process, still on-premise. That was also a thing that we didn't like about PTV in those days. And in 2020, when volumes became that we have to plan about 10,000, 15,000 orders a day, we mentioned that PTV Smart Tour was capable to do so, but we had already, I think, 10 cases. That's something that someone talked about before. Then you have for every province in the country, you have an own case, and that's not the most optimized way of work. So we jumped into the adventure together with Conundra as one of the first of their customers. I talked with Steven and Anne about how can we make that smart, how can we do that in the cloud instead of on-premise, because we knew every day that, because planning is in the end maybe your most important bottleneck, because without planning there is no distribution, and without planning there is no distribution for those 1,000 guys next day on the road. And that on-premise, it's always gave me a sort of gut feeling of what would happen if we get a fire in that server room. What will happen then? And we never had that problem. We had once a fire at the neighbors, so that was quite challenging, but I'm now very happy with have it all in the cloud. And we came back to PTV Logistics, as of course Conundra and PTV joined forces, and we switched also from the normal OptiFlow power into the power scalable engines, and the guys of PTV can tell you a lot more about it, but we know also with that step that we have a better algorithm, a better engine, because we can go up to those 15,000 orders. That's something that we really like, we really need in our product. So that is our journey from Excel towards those power scalable engines. And why OptiFlow? So that was the first question I wanted to talk to you. Why OptiFlow? OptiFlow gave us 4 important things in that time. It gave us a state-of-the-art algorithm. It gave us the scalability and the entrance to the cloud. It gave us the opportunity to really automate our planning. So where in the systems we had before, the experience of the planner was, in the end, like our professor said, quite challenging to have that all on one line, because we definitely knew that the best planner delivers a planning that was 2-3% better than the average planner. And in terms of euros, that guy saves millions of euros for you in a year for your company. So automation was a very important point for us. And the last, also important point was a more accurate traffic information we want to include in our plan. All those things combined, of course, brought something for us. We had, in the end, and that's compared not to Excel. This is compared from the PTV Smart Tour to the OptiFlow Power. So when we don't go back 10 years in time. No, it was just in 2020 where we make the comparison between our data set out of Smart Tour and gave it to Conundra and said, okay, make the best of it. And it was a better and more accurate delivery tour for our technical couriers. We had about 15% savings in CO2 emissions with less kilometers because the algorithm made and calculated better tours. We had up to 8% savings on last mile costs, simply less hours needed. And I don't need to tell you that 8% saving in a last mile logistics and after sales company is an awful lot of money. We are ready for future growth. And we have an optimized business continuity plan because we have now put everything in the cloud. And we have less dependency on our planners. Know-how and experience is, again, of course, important, but the most important guy is the guy that configures the algorithm together with PTV to find out what do we need in our TMS as additional information to make sure that the algorithm can do its utmost performance. So we are now less dependent on planners. And to give you an example, those 10 to 15,000 orders, we plan them every night, every evening night with dynamic tours, and we have 2 planners. So that's everything we have left of that whole planning department. And why not 1? Because if that guy became sick, then we don't have that continuity at all. So that was the reason why we said, let's make 2 of them. And with, especially with, of course, this part, the saving and the readiness for future growth, and some new business ideas, we are able to grow further. And that's something that is very good news for me personally, because if you are in a growing company, then you can also establish new things, and that's the most fun part of doing business. And we created 2 new brands. The first I already introduced, DynaHealth, where we deliver those medical aids, medical devices into patients' homes so that those people can live their last years of their life on a pleasant way with an e-commerce type of service level, so with good track and trace, with a time slot delivery, being on time, not ringing the door 3 times and then just quick run away and leave those elderly people behind. No, it's really based on how can we care about those people. And again, this is something we ask something additional from the algorithm, because we have again introduced new skill sets, new vehicle types, and all those things we just put in that one big black box called OptiFlow. So DynaHealth is one of the business units we have invested in. And the second one, it's connected to that EV part, where we also discussed about. It's DynaCharge. And what we do here is just simply copying the telecom model into the EV world, because the service level of repairing and servicing such a device, as you see over here, there are thousands and millions of them in Europe, and there will become, of course, a lot more, was a sort of service level that we saw 10 years or 15 years ago in telecom. Because if you have now a broken EV charger, it will cost you a week or 2 weeks to service it. But in the end, if we don't create a solution where you have an instant service where you call someone who makes sure that it's serviced within 24 hours, for example, then it gets a higher adaptation of EV charging and EV vehicles, because if you have this in your home or in your business address and it don't works, then it's nice if you can have repaired that with repair and logistics solutions as soon as possible. Vielen Dank.
Wir sagen natürlich Danke, lieber Philipp. Habt ihr direkt Fragen an ihn? Er hat jetzt viele Kapitel auch erstmal nur angeschnitten, bis hin zu den neuen Ideen, neue Businessmodelle, die entstanden sind durch Möglichkeiten, weil einfach Kapazitäten, Ressourcen, Geld frei wurde durch Einsparung. Habt ihr da konkrete Fragen direkt an den Philipp in dieser praktischen Stunde? Liebe Kinder, nein. Aber dann, Philipp, wie war das? Also bei Praxis denke ich immer so dran, darf ich Deutsch sprechen?
Ja, kein Problem.
Okay, if not, I can also
no, ist gut in Deutsch. Nein, ist gut, kein Problem.
Wir wechseln immer, ne?
Ja, wir machen es auf Deutsch und dann in Englisch.
Genau. Genau, ich habe genau zugehört. Was jetzt nicht genau rauskam in der Chart, war so, also hattest du dich wieder für die PTV Logistik entschieden oder was haben die getan, dass du sie wieder genommen hast oder so? Also wie waren da eure Annäherungsversuche, dass du das Produkt genommen hast, also oder warst du einfach überzeugt durch Kundra?
Nein, nicht. Ja, wir waren I do it.
Yeah, okay,
the answering in English. We were started our search for a new and better plan software because that's something that we did every 3-4 years, sort of. Regular thing, and there was a guy from bpost who said, I knew a company in Oosterzele in Belgium. They are very good. So, small company. We thought, okay, let's give him a chance. And what we did is that we gave all the competitors, all the partners in that RFI proposal. We gave them exactly the same set of data, just a regular day. Here you go.
Oh, okay.
And you and prepare your solution.
Yeah.
And by the way, on the day that you come to present it to us, you receive a new set of data, you receive 30 minutes, and you need to present the solution. Because of course you can optimize it for weeks and weeks, and then I know that you have a very good back office and a very good team that can support in doing that. But what we really wanted to test is, does it also work in practice? Because we have between 12 at night and 12:30 to finalize the planning. And then we challenged Kundra in those days, and they were the only one who did that job in a half an hour.
Okay.
So that was really convincing for us and made us felt comfortable by going actually towards a very small company in those days, but with very good knowledge, a very good team. So we jumped into that adventure, and now we are still happy together with PTV Logistics.
Okay, wow. And then when you implemented the new tool to your company, just how did the people react to work with that tool? Was it easy for them, or was it a longer time to get them to know it, or gab es Anpassungen quasi?
It was a very challenging time because we implemented it in the beginning of 2020, and everyone knows what happened then. COVID came around, and in logistics, the volumes really get through the roof. And so we had challenging times about getting those volumes through our logistics process. But the nice thing was that people could plan from home. So in those implementation months, we said, okay, stay at home, no problem. Because with COVID, you had the problem that
real asset.
It was a real asset because we implemented it from our home offices, and that was the best thing that could happen on that moment, because otherwise we were stuck with doing that in the office on our server. But now we really showed that it was possible to do that from every place. You would only need your laptop in front of you, and then you can do your planning. That was very challenging, but also very good solved in the end.
Sounds convincing. Dann noch die letzte Frage, denn ich habe immer noch Zeit.
Ah,
das ist das
super.
Pech, wenn ihr kürzere Präsentationen haltet,
Ja?
dann habe ich immer mehr Zeit, noch was zu fragen. Weil ich weiß nicht, ob es ihr verstanden habt, aber was macht ihr jetzt genau? Ihr macht jetzt noch Healthcare? Nee, ich habe nur das Bild gesehen. Ich verstehe es nicht so ganz. Also ihr macht was mit Aufladestationen und für alte Leute.
Ja,
Wie bist du denn auf die Idee gekommen?
Two new business lines we have investigated in because we were already in telecom and in e-commerce. And we said, okay, where is a nice market to growth in? And we distinguished two markets: the healthcare market, because there is of course a trend of that elderly people getting older. We get a lot of old people in the next upcoming 20 years. There's a lot of patients logistics needed, and what we see is that all those current logistic providers in healthcare do that on their old-fashioned way, and we think that we can do that better, more efficient, more sustainable, with a better customer journey. So that's what we do in healthcare, and in EV chargers, it's more a spin-off of our repair company, where we say, okay, what new product line is attractive with high penetration, and therefore we jumped into repairing and also on-site servicing those EV charge stations.
Und das für diesen Healthcare-Bereich, ist es dann etwas, was auch andere sozusagen Pflegedienste und so weiter dann von euch nutzen können, die Software, die ihr da mitentwickelt? Oder macht ihr jetzt echt als DynaGroup? Ist es dann euer Produkt und ihr führt es aus?
Yeah, we do that now in the Benelux region, and that's something where we really try to get our feet on the ground. But after that, also discovering what can we do in Germany, what can we do in France, because with the bpost group as mother, we have a better we are better situated in those countries with local facilities, so we can easily start also in other countries those activities.
Okay. Wow, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Bitte nochmal einen großen Applaus für Philipp Evans.
Danke.
Dankeschön.